Hi, welcome to the Chad Bozarth Show. Thanks for listening.
Email.
So, Chad, how are you, man?
I'm just laughing because of the technical difficulties.
Tell me about it.
Hey, dude, you're a father of three now, man. What is that like? I mean, I know what it's
Man,
like, but but what is it like for you?
thank you for reminding me. It's a lot of fun, man. It's pretty busy, but it's a lot of fun. I need to get some more wisdom from you. You're what, are you a year now or 2 years into three kids?
You know what? My youngest, I'm always bad at the months thing. I kind of have a personal policy of not knowing when anybody's birthday is. That way I don't like feel pressure to know anybody's birthday because I could just say, "Hey, I don't know anybody's birthday." I pretty much I know my kids' birthdays. Anyway, she'll be two beginning of next year, first the second quarter of next year, second quarter of anyway. I made that way. Hey, you know what? My brother says I'm the worst storyteller that he knows.
Well, that's
And
your brother.
Yeah, no, I know, but I think there's some truth to that because sometimes just trying to say the simplest thing, it's like a river's trying to rush out and there's just a little tiny doorway for it to all get out and it just anyway, how forget wisdom from me. How is it with three kids, man?
It's good. Son just turned 2 months last week. Yeah, which is kind of insane. Um, yeah, 2 months. The kids are awesome, especially the older kids. This is no joke, and we're super blessed about it. But every time he wakes up, my son, most youngest, my oldest daughter and oldest son, um, just want to help. They're like, "Hey, can we feed him? Can we hug him? Can we hold him?" And we never really actually like told him, "Hey, whenever brothers around need to help." I think it's just more along the lines of just I don't know, maybe just observing each other over the years, or maybe it's just the Holy Spirit. But either way, we're super, super thankful. They've just been super helpful whenever we just need help, and sometimes overbearing. But I'll rather take the help than not. So it's been awesome.
Oh yeah, that's I've had that experience too. Yeah, it's a big help. And then sometimes I'll just be like they can do more than what you think they could do.
You're right. You're right.
And so it's flipping that switch and be like, no, I don't. Oh, no, you're in a new stage of life. You can actually do stuff. So go do this. So speaking of that, I'll tell you, this is going to sound, it's funny how when you're a parent, like the smallest things are so helpful, but we instituted a new rule, which anybody listening to this will be like, oh, you're just now doing this rule. But anyway, we instituted the rule, no TV unless you clean up your mess.
Okay.
And that has been a life changer because it has taken it away from like this punitive, like you'll be in trouble if you don't pick up your mess.
Hmm.
And it takes like TV outside of the realm of just, it puts it into the category of a privilege instead of just, I can watch TV whenever.
Yep.
And it's a simple, like it really clicks with them. And I mean, it hasn't been perfect, but I have seen a significant like improvement in just peace in the household since we instituted that rule. Okay, okay, that's fine. You can make that mess, but like there is no TV unless you clean that mess up. So anyway, probably someone listening is gonna be like, "Oh, wow, you're on your third kid and you're just now figuring that rule out." But like, it takes me a while sometimes to.
Can I piggyback on that?
Yeah.
So in line was probably, man, he's 10 now, which is crazy. I think 5 or 6, we started implementing like chores and stuff. And
Mm.
anyways, it's gotten to the point where him and Lily, before they do any type of whether it's devices or playing or like you're saying, watching shows, they have a checklist inside their room. And when they wake
Mm.
up in the morning, they have to do those things before they get the privilege, like you said, to either get on their devices or watch or anything like that. And I agree with you, man. The peaceful thing is it's cool. I mean, there's some days where they just miss it, but we realize, hey, did you guys do your chores yet? Do you do your checklist? And it's been helpful, super helpful. I agree with you on the peace side. I mean, it's like, what in the world? You you get this peace to yourself for a while. No fighting, no running around, like stuff like that.
Have you ever done anything like I shouldn't say this. Oh, maybe I should edit that out. Yeah, I would say yeah, I would say what was in my brain. But yeah, no, that's good. Just trying to figure all that out. Um, do you remember growing up, did you ever have any friends who like their parents would pay them if they got straight A's?
I did. I was not in that group though.
Me neither. I don't really
Yeah.
agree with that concept.
Yeah, I was a good student, but there was never any of like, hey, if you get an A or an A plus, you're getting this amount of money. I mean, yes, like I said, I had friends, but I was never in that boat. Did you have anybody like that?
I can't remember specifically who, but I'm pretty sure I had a friend or two who they got paid. So, but for me, it was just like expected to get good grades. Although, and
Yeah.
then I remember I could take my report card to Blockbuster,
Okay.
and I think if you got A's or B's, you got a free rental at Blockbuster.
Really?
Yeah,
Huh. I
you
did not
know,
know about this.
they should bring that back.
Speaking of Blockbuster, this is completely tangent. So my son and I were at a doctor's appointment earlier this week, and his doctor is probably she's probably in her early 30s, maybe mid 30s, something like that. And the day before, my son and my daughter were hanging out at my grandma's house, and they have Netflix and all these other streaming um, platforms just to watch movies and stuff where they're at grandma's. And for some reason, since it's about to be Christmas season here in November, my mother in law was like, "Hey, how about you guys watch? I don't know if it was Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer or something like that." But she had it on DVD.
Dude, I do too. I am not joking. Is it the old like stop motion one?
I don't remember, but this the where I'm gonna sort of go quickly to the story is after like almost, I kid you not, almost like after an hour and a half, they finally got the DVD to work on their system. And I was like, oh my gosh, all this time for just a 20-minute show. So then my son is at the doctor's office the next day and he's telling this story to the doctor. And the doctor's sort of like looking at me like, what in the world? DVDs? You don't know what a DVD is, you 10-year-old? My son's like, no, what's a DVD? So then she starts talking about VHS tapes. She goes on her computer screen, shows a VHS tape. Lion looks at it, he's like, I've never seen that before. I don't know what that is. And then she continues to talk about Blockbuster and how like this was a thing she did when she was in high school and all this stuff. And my son's just sort of like looking at us like, no, you guys are old. I have no idea what you're talking
Oh,
about.
dude, we actually had like a standalone machine that was a VHS rewinder. Like that was its only function.
Wow.
Like we wouldn't, because you're not supposed to use the VCR to rewind.
Yep.
That puts undue load on the VCR. So we had a separate thing for. But I kid you not, I have the 1960s whatever stop motion Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer
Okay.
on DVD, and we
Wow.
watched it on Saturday. So that just yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't know which version it is. I mean, like I was in the background just sort of just watching and laughing because I'm just like, oh my gosh, you literally have Netflix. You could find a Christmas movie right now, but they couldn't find anything, so they had to find the DVD, which I thought was pretty funny. And then we had this huge history lesson with Lion about like DVDs and cassettes and all this. He's like, all right, yeah,
Well, I'm always saying movie references and stuff into my class that I teach, and I had my students raise their hands the other day if they were born after the year 2000, and
okay,
probably 90% had been born after 2000. And it's like, oh, that explains a lot why they literally haven't seen any movie I've referenced all semester.
that's actually a good point.
Yeah, so that's it. Well, but like I can kind of be nostalgic sometimes, but thinking about Blockbuster, there was something cool about just like being able to walk into a place and there's limited selection, and then you could have the issue of the movie you really want to watch, somebody else has rented it out, and you're like standing by the drop box hoping that the next one that's dropped in is the movie. Or it was like there was this expectation and all this stuff, and now it's just like you have unlimited access to literally everything. Like I don't. That's why I refuse. Like nothing against Cheesecake Factory, but I do not like going to Cheesecake Factory. Like I cannot handle all those choices. Like, give me beef or chicken and, you know, broccoli or asparagus or something. But I, all these variations, I can't handle it.
Uh,
It,
is it overwhelming for you?
yeah, it is overwhelming. Like, I wish I could take a time machine trip back to the time before we were always connected all of the time,
Yep.
because ah, like my wife the other day was like, somebody had gotten back to her and said, "Sorry, I'm just not getting back to you. My phone was off for 24 hours or something like that. I was taking a break." And like, I love that idea, but I'm not totally sure how to do that because, like, what if I guess I could just do that and say, "Hey, if it's an emergency, contact my wife."
So,
What do you think about that?
I love the idea. What I was gonna say is made me think of so a lot of these big comedians like Joe Rogan, Dave Chappelle, um, Andrew Schultz, some of these other huge comedians, what they've been doing, and Joe Rogan's been doing this whenever he does his shows in Austin. So he will allow no cell phones at his comedy show.
Oh,
Yeah, and it's not so much like so with Dave Chappelle, he does it because he doesn't want any of his content to be streamed before the
yeah.
show gets out. But with Joe, he feels the same way, but the reason why he does it is because he wants people to come and enjoy the show and
Hmm.
actually not get distracted with their phones. So, there's actually this company, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like this, it's like a pouch, and what it is when you go into their, to the show, you have to drop your cell phone in this pouch, and then it's guarded in this locker room, and everybody has to do it. If you don't do it, you're not allowed into the show. And what he said, the feedback he's received is like people are getting more engaged. They actually want to be a part of the event, and it's been pretty productive for him. And I say this because there's a few schools, I think in Texas, who are actually using this company for pouches to not have not cell phones inside their schools. And it's also led me to the idea of what you're saying. Like, man, it would be pretty cool if like, and they probably do this already, but like if there was some type of like a 24-hour or 48-hour camp for adults or teenagers
Hmm.
to just like distraction free,
Yeah.
just go out and be in the wilderness or hang out at somebody's like property or something like that and just enjoy what it's like without being so connected all the time. Um, and I don't know, I don't know if I've ever talked to anybody who's like done it longer than 24 hours. I know people who have, and they said been beneficial for 24 hours. But I don't know if anybody's done it more, unless it's like a fast or something like that. Um, but I don't know. I think there's value in it. I just think for me it's almost like a fast. Like you almost like you're clearing your head of like literally all the junk that was in your head over the last could be days, weeks, months, and just sort of just like reassessing where you are and being a better peace with yourself. But I don't know. I'm all for it. I'm definitely all for it.
I wonder if next time, like, I have somebody over for dinner,
Yep.
I could like implement. I'll send them a text to be like, "Okay, when you enter our house, please put your phone in the pouch by the door."
You You know who does this? I think it's is it Kelly Ripa? Is she the one she used to do with that guy that passed away, the older dude, comedian? The Am I saying it right? Kelly Ripa, blonde lady.
Oh, are you talking about Who Wants to Be a Millionaire guy? Regis?
Yeah, he passed away. Anyways, after he passed away, Kelly is now doing it with her husband. I think his name is like
Hmm.
Mark or something like that. I think he
Hmm.
was anyways, he was an actor. But it's funny you say this because I think it was either him or it's either that couple or somebody that they knew. had this rule for guests. So whenever
Mm.
guests came into their house, I don't know when they sent them the text, but they would notify them and tell them, "Hey, once you guys come into our house, no cell phone rule." And they were doing this feedback reaction on it with Dwayne Wade and um, is it Jenna Bush, George Bush's daughter, because she does the
Hmm.
Today Show, and they're talking about the fact that like, would this be something you would be comfortable with as a guest, and then would it be
Mm.
something you'd be comfortable as a host? And they gave different perspectives. And Dwayne Wade was like, "Nah," he's like, "If you told me that, I wouldn't even come to your house." And Jenna was like, "No, I think that'd be good because I would really want for people to just like enjoy being a part of our environment as opposed to checking their phone all the time." Um, I think I would be cool with it. I think I would just sort of have to have like restrictions might not be the word, but sort of maybe like guidelines of like what's considered like when I need to go check my phone. Because if you have kids like us, like, and there's a babysitter or somebody who's taking care of the kid, like in an emergency, or if there's something you need to communicate, hey, we're going to be late because of this, and this, you need those moments of it. So I think like I'd be cool with it. I'll just need to figure out like what would those guidelines be for the guests that come to my home of like, hey, this is when you can use your device.
Yeah. Um,
What do you
Let
think?
me ask. Yeah, that's what I'm trying to figure that out, all that out, because like it's only going to get worse, right? Like I'm trying to figure out what the end game is on this. It's like because I was telling my students the other day, I was talking about dial-up internet and how you used to have to dial in and then you can't use the telephone while you were on the internet and stuff like that. And it's like I just check my phone way too much. And I know a lot of people do, but it's like, what am I even? It's, I, it's pretty. I annoy myself. It's like, it's like, I love that. Did you ever see that movie? What about Bob?
No, I've not.
Oh, email. Anyway, it's about this psychiatrist and this neurotic patient that like follows him around. And like the psychiatrist tells the patient, Bob, is Bill Murray, to take a vacation from his problems.
Okay.
That's how I feel about myself. Like sometimes I want to take a vacation from myself sometimes. Like I could be exhausting.
I think we all do.
Hopefully
I
nobody
think we all
comments
do.
on this. Yeah, somebody's gonna comment. Yeah, we know, Chad. We'd like to take a vacation from you too. It's like,
Can I ask a question related to that? Like, where you were
yeah.
saying just like trying to step away from the stresses, like, and I guess this may be hard for you to answer because during this period you weren't married and didn't have kids. But when you traveled outside the United States, did you feel like I don't want to say your stresses were less, but could you compare the stresses you have now here in the States versus when you were living overseas?
That's a good question. I have a couple answers. I think one is you you only like I didn't have, like you said, the experience of being married and all of that, so I had nothing to compare it to. So any stress that I did feel, I didn't know. Like looking back, I would say it's less stress to answer your
Okay.
question. But
Okay.
at the time, I wouldn't have known it was less stress because I had nothing to compare it to.
Yeah.
So for me, it was just whatever stress. It's almost like regardless of the circumstance, I'm really good at filling up my bucket with stress regardless of what the circumstance is. It's like, oh, I'm not feeling enough stress. Something must be wrong. Let me go find something to be stressed about, you know? Like, no, let me tell you. No, this is good. I will tell you. For the longest time I struggled with anxiety,
Okay.
like severe anxiety, and people only my wife and my brother and my mom knew.
Hmm.
And it's kind of a long story, but like really, like I would wake up in the middle of the night gasping for air. I remember one day I was driving home and I just felt like I was driving through darkness, and I was almost gonna pull over to like an urgent care place and just say, please help me. Like I was in a bad
Hmm.
place. I had lost a lot of weight, and it
of course I'm skinny, but like imagine me even skinnier.
Yeah.
Like it was really bad. And thank God I came out of that. And like I would wake up in the middle of the night worried about my heart stopping and all this crazy stuff. And I don't want to like act like there's some easy solution to that because if somebody's experienced like panic and anxiety, then they know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
If you haven't experienced it, then it sounds just like I'm crazy or something. But what really got me out of it was when I just stopped the snowball and was like, if I die, I die.
So mentally, you're saying that to yourself?
Yeah, mentally I said to myself, okay, my heart's flipping around and beating fast. Okay, if I die, I die.
I
And
see.
that completely takes the power out of it.
Okay.
Like totally. And I haven't had anxiety like that in years. And like when I was in the midst of that,
Yeah.
I thought it would never change. Like it was, I can't even. But so my point is, um, I have experience with other anxieties before. If I get rid of something, sometimes I'll like test myself to try to stir up anxiety
Okay.
and see, okay, if I stir it up, can I still control it? Which is clearly dumb. So that's kind of what I mean by sometimes you get victory over something and then you like try to test yourself to see if you really are, and it's like, no, that's dumb. Don't even go down that path.
Two
So I didn't
questions
really
on.
answer your question, but
No, you did, but two questions on that. How long did that period last? And then two, and this may be a dumb question because maybe I've never experienced it myself, or I haven't really had anybody that's disclosed it to me that they're dealing with anxiety besides you. But is the second question is there a difference between being anxious and anxiety, or are they both the same thing?
uh, um, I don't know what like the clinical definition would be, but here's what I would say, and
Okay.
it's kind of funny. I was more anxious when I didn't have kids than now
Hmm.
that I have three kids.
Interesting.
And the reason I would say for that is not that I'm some selfless like wonderful person. I'm not saying that, but what I am saying is when I had less responsibility, my brain is always trying to solve problems. So I would
Okay.
create problems to solve.
Oh,
And now with having kids, you just are so tired and
yeah.
you're thinking about them and changing a diaper or whatever, all of the stuff of life that has to be done.
Yep.
I don't have the time to think about myself like I did when I was single or even married and didn't have kids. I don't have that kind of mental time to
Wow.
spend mulling over my own whatever. And so I think if somebody's dealing with anxiety, the best thing to do is to do something outside of yourself
Okay.
and not think that you can fix it by thinking about it. You don't fix it by thinking about it, you fix it by doing. Again, this is my own experience. I
Yeah.
can't, it was a long, dude, oh man, for years, I don't even, like people wouldn't even believe me if I told you how anxious I was because I'm always cracking jokes and whatever, but I was in a dark place of anxiety for a long time. Like I said, only my, only really my brother and my mom and my wife knew.
Wow. I know you shared it with me before that you were in that season, but I didn't know when it was. So, man, thanks for sharing that. I mean, I've never thought about that, but I mean, like when you said that you are actually now thinking less about problems now that you have kids versus when you were single, like that's a really interesting take. And I mean, like I could see how that would be, in my point of view, like really helpful for you because you're like you're saying, you're not having to think about yourself all the time.
Yeah. So to your anxiety and it's not that I'm not anxious now, but it's like a different type of anxiety that's positive, if that makes sense. Like it's
Yes.
not, it's, I mean, frankly, I have to trust. Basically, anxiety gives you the illusion of control. Like if you just think about something enough,
Okay.
then you'll figure it out and control it. But the more kids you have, the more you realize like you're really not in control.
Yeah.
And whatever little control you have is not to the extent that you thought you were, right? And so
True.
at a certain point, it kind of takes the burden off, and it's like, God, like I cannot. like, you know, my son is gonna jump off the couch like at some point, and like I cannot control like God, please protect these little people. Like you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
and I don't know. That's kind of
So,
a rambling answer, but I am passionate about it because I know a lot of people suffer silently with anxiety, and it's like, listen, if I can get free from anxiety, anybody can. Because I was in, and it's like, and nobody would have known I was dealing with what I was dealing. I'll tell you that.
wow. Thanks for sharing. Um, Along those lines, for you, and I don't want to go like super like spiritual, but at the same time, I know there's value in it, but I also want to come down to earth a little bit. But the question more is posed along the lines of when you were walking through the season, how much of like your freedom afterwards was like either asking the Lord for a solution to this versus like actually talking to a professional. Like if you could break down the percentage, and I mean I don't know what you went through, but I mean like what was essentially your solution? Was it more faith than science or a mix of both?
I would say both. I mean, one of the things I talk about, so I'll share this. This is my, again, he wasn't really making fun of me, but he would laugh because, I live in North Dallas, which is
Uh-huh.
like not known for like, anyway, my blood test said I was malnourished, which
Okay.
is kind of crazy. Um, and so I think it fed on itself because I wasn't eating enough.
Hmm.
And because I wasn't eating enough, that would increase my anxiety.
Hmm.
And then it would snowball. So it's like I was anxious. And because I was anxious, I wasn't able to eat enough because my stomach was in knots. But then because I wasn't eating enough, it contributed to my deficiency, my just in the natural nutritional deficiencies.
Wow.
And so that snowballed. So yeah, of course, I'm sure there was a spiritual component too. I can't categorize it like as it was very, I guess complicated, but I can say that if there's one moment that really the power of it left me was when I came to the point of just like if I die, I die.
Wow.
And then it's like all that stuff can't snowball because what's the worst that can happen? It's like, okay, the worst that can happen is I die and with Jesus.
Yep.
So like it short circuits the what if type stuff. But anyway, man, yeah, it's like I I don't know. So yeah, I'm for all of that. Seeing a counselor, whatever you need to do, I'm for all of that. And everybody's different. I don't know that there's one. I don't know.
One solution.
Yeah, one solution. But I think the more you can not think about yourself and think towards others, I mean, that can lead to anxiety too, right? Um, it's messy. Um,
I
I
need to
don't
look
know.
into this further. I didn't. I mean, I know you shared the story before, but I'm just looking back on life on like moments where it was like, was I anxious versus anxiety? Because I remember in college there were people who would tell me they were dealing with anxiety, but I don't know. Like in hindsight now, I don't know if I ever dealt with anxiety because it was never like categorized or never experienced it.
Yeah.
So like when I hear stories of yours, I'm like, man, that's really cool to hear. Did I ever experience something like that? And if I did, like, what are some like common themes that I can look back on and say, oh, that was that, or that wasn't that?
Well, and that's and that's where like the definitions can get tricky because like, if I'm about to do something like perform on stage or teach a class or something, I
Yep.
might I might get a little bit nervous, but it's like a good nervous. It's like it's really just nervous because I want to do the best that I can do,
Yep.
but I love it. Like it's like I want whatever that feeling is when you're about to perform or something as an actor, that whatever nerves, like I like that feeling. I like the butterflies in my stomach. Oh man, I I might mess up bad here, like whatever that's called, or before a basketball game or something. I love that feeling. So, and some people I think would call that anxiety. What I'm talking about is not that.
Okay.
What I'm talking about is your brain's on a roller coaster merry-go-round and like there's no off button and you're like
Mm,
you're trying to get off this ride and you cannot get off the ride.
wow.
That's the kind of anxiety I'm talking about. It's like
Wow.
what if there's just who has the off but who can unplug this thing because I cannot get off this ride and it's like and then it leads to like almost hopelessness like
Mm,
Monday I was on this ride. Am I going to be on this ride? And see, and that's where the th the sinister thing about it is when you get into that is even the days where maybe you have some relief because
okay.
you've had that pattern so long, there's always the threat of it looming out there. What if this hits me again? And so you
Wow.
almost build, that's why I said about building something up to see if you can control it. It's like, oh, well, it's always out there. What if this cloud comes on me again or whatever? And anyway, well, again, not that I have some magic solution, but I don't know, man. I don't know if I answered your question.
No, you did. I mean, like, so would it be safe to say that, like, um, having kids and then also having activities in your life with your kids has been
Yeah.
helpful for you to manage the anxiety?
Oh yeah.
It has.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and like I said, just the realization that you're not in control.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. Awkward silence.
Yeah, I don't know what question you have.
No, wait, I thought, were you gonna say something?
No, I wasn't. I mean,
Uh,
this topic of anxiety is really, really fascinating to me. And I mean, I'm glad you shared because I'm just thinking, man, I just you don't want to go too dark, but then you start to think about like now you understand why people can get into a really dark, dark place. And from the
absolutely.
outside, we don't understand what's going on. Like we think, man, this person's weird or this person's dealing with something. Like we just I'm not saying you, but just like when you look at the context of people who deal with this at a dark level,
Yeah.
we don't understand the experiences and the emotions that um, individuals like yourself have to go through and then come out of to actually like have a clear mindset and say like, hey, this is what I was experiencing.
Yeah.
So I mean, like one, I have a lot of empathy now. Not that I didn't before, just I didn't have necessarily have understanding. But I think it's just, um, I mean, mental health is real. It really is.
Oh yeah. And that's why I think I mean, it sounds weird to say I'm thankful for it, but I am thankful for it because I feel like I love if there's ever an opportunity for me to talk to anybody who's dealing with that. I love doing that. And everybody has something that they've gone through that they could use to help others, right? Like
Yep.
everybody has something, and I think that's awesome.
You think this podcast has been helpful for you?
Yeah, I really enjoy I enjoy just asking questions and then just listening to answers. That sounds kind of almost simplistic and dumb, but I feel like in real life, I'm really bad about that. Like, I feel like not that this isn't real life, but I think sometimes in real life, I'm just like, I have a point and I can kind of beat a dead horse and I have a perspective and I'm trying to argue it. And any of my friends knows, like, I do that. But in this context, just sitting down with somebody like one on one and trying to listen, it's
Yep.
like I really enjoy it.
It is. I'm glad you said that because that's literally how I feel, and how I'd be curious to get your perspective and all the mutual friends we have. But this is how I feel whenever I'm having conversations with people. And I think that's one reason why, like, one of the reasons why I enjoyed working in the broadcasting space so much because I was so um, obsessed and enthralled with like wanting to know people's stories and asking
Mm,
questions and finding out like, hey, how did this happen and what was the common denominator here and there. And it's really cool to hear your perspective on it because I feel like, man, I lost my train of thought now. I feel like there's something, maybe soothing might not be the right word, but soothing to sit down and hear somebody think through and process information that you've given them a question to,
Mm,
and finding out like how do they work through that.
yeah.
And I don't know if that's how you see it, but for me, I'm just like, that's why I ask questions so much with in conversations with friends and stuff like that, because I really want to know, like, how is your makeup? Like, how did God create you? Like, what is exciting about you? What is exciting about life? Like, what are some interests that you have? What are some things that your kids did the other day that just like made you so proud? Um, and I don't know, I just find joy from that.
Well, it's interesting that you say that too, because sometimes you think you know what your answer would be, and then when the question is actually directly asked of you, in fact, I was just telling my students that this morning in class about I was in a job interview one time, and the person interviewing me asked me something like, I don't remember the exact question, but it was something like, is there anything you would have done different in your life? Or do you have any regrets? Or something along those lines. And I don't think I'd ever been asked that question directly.
Hmm.
And so when I was thinking about it, of course I regret sin. Like I wish, you know, that I didn't have sin in my past, right? But like, but when that question was directly asked of me, I realized that I don't regret anything,
Hmm.
if that makes sense.
Yes.
Like, of course, I regret people that I've hurt in the past, or all of those things. Again, that would be in the category of sin. But as far as like different choices I've made or whatever, like I don't regret or would have changed any choices that I've made because who would I don't know who I would be if those things hadn't happened or I hadn't made those choices. It's kind of like the paradox. I mean, this is over my head. I'm no philosopher, but it's like I think there's like a time machine movie, and this guy, his wife gets killed by like a car or a horse and buggy or something, and he's like so distraught by this that he creates a time machine to go back in time
Hmm.
to stop her from dying.
Hmm.
And he's never able to stop her from dying because the impetus, the reason why he built the time machine in the first place was a result of her dying.
Oh wow.
So he could never fix the problem that was the cause of him trying to fix the problem. And so, like I said, that's about it's as high as I can go on that. But I think about that like I don't, it's hard to even know how you would be if you hadn't have gone through certain things and made certain decisions and you know, I don't know.
I think the hindsight's always, I don't know, when you're in the season, you're like, oh my goodness. Well, if you're in a bad season or like a challenging season, you're like, I need to get out of this season as soon as possible.
Mm,
It's funny how like God, like he's always there, but he's walking through us throughout that season. And I mean, I'm speaking from my perspective here. I don't know if anybody else relates, but it's almost like when you're in that season, you're like, get me out of that season, get me out of the season, get me out of that season. And sometimes like this is where I've had to like have peace with, where it's like a season isn't necessarily like a week, 2 weeks, or a month. Like sometimes seasons can be like years or
mm,
decades.
yeah.
Because I mean, I've heard so many like praise stories and testimonies of people of like praying for kids, wanting to have kids, and their season lasted like 10 years.
Hmm.
And I remember a couple at a previous church that we attended. They only have a daughter now, but I remember like they were sharing their testimony at church when we were there. House and I were married and we didn't have kids. And they were talking about how they literally like prayed for like years, years, years. And it took 10 years for them to have their daughter. They
Mm,
finally have their daughter now. She's like 16 or 17, and they just love on her like crazy. So, like when I'm walking through seasons, I'm just sort of like reminding myself, like, okay, Lord, I know you're shaping me for something during the season to prepare me for the next season, but like, man, how long is this season gonna last?
mm.
And I mean,
Yeah.
we don't know that until like you're saying, like we look back on the hindsight, and then we sort of like just have like this gratefulness of like, man, you brought me through this. I'm glad you kept me in this season. So I try to remind myself like when I'm in the season to be like um to have more of a posture of patience and gratitude than more of like try to get me out, because I don't know what he's preparing for me on the other end.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so true. Hmm. Well, this has been interesting.
We didn't touch anything that we planned to discuss, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is good, man. This is really good. Now you've got me a lot of stuff for me to think about this afternoon.
Yeah.
Were there any books on anxiety that you read or that you could refer to people?
So, I'll tell you a few books. This is a long story. I won't go down the path, but in the course of my life, I've been overseas quite a bit, and um, I had flown over the Atlantic multiple times. And about 15 years ago, I had a panic attack on top of a slide at Hurricane Harbor.
Okay.
I guess I'd call it a panic attack. I don't know. I freaked out. And after that, for years, I started to be afraid of heights.
Hmm.
And I never had any issues flying before that or anything. And then all of a sudden, I specifically remember, and don't I'm trying to lead up to the books, but I specifically remember I was in line, and keep in mind I'm trying to set the context of I had been overseas so many times,
Yep.
and then after this happened, I specifically remember uh being in line to board a transatlantic flight, and I was in line with Nathan Headley, and we were going to fly over to Romania on a missions trip. And I remember like thinking, I don't know if I can get on this flight
Hmm.
and like be in this aluminum tube for 9 hours with no escape, And it was like, oh my gosh, this is, I do not like this feeling that I
Yeah.
am feeling.
Yeah.
Anyway, oh, so on that note, I do have a couple of book recommendations. Thank you. I love recommending books. It's my love language. If it's I don't know if that's a real love language, but um there is this book, I'll put it in the description. There is this book called Soar, Soar, and
Okay.
it's actually written by an airplane pilot who is also a psychologist.
Huh.
And that book really, oh, so dealing with anxiety, let me just say one thing that has helped me also is objectifying it. So for example,
Yes.
if you have a bad, like if you're nauseated and you have like a queasy stomach, horrible stomach ache, you feel like you're gonna throw up.
Okay.
Like nobody likes that feeling. That's a horrible feeling. But it's like you know what it is. And so it's like you just know it'll pass. Kind of like you said, seasons. Well, this is short. So with anxiety, if you can objectify it and step outside of it and like put it in the category of a stomach ache,
Okay.
instead of like this snowball thing, like the world's going to end, but it's like, oh no, this is just like a stomach ache. I feel very uncomfortable right now, but I'm going to ride this wave, and uh, it will pass. I will pass. This wave will wash over me, and I will come out the other side just like I would with a stomach ache, instead of building it, building it, building it. And
Wow.
so I think that's another trick. Again, this is easier said than done. So anything I say, I don't want to act like, oh, this is so easy to do. Like it's not. But
Yep.
like if you feel that anxiety coming on, like almost just be like, all right, let me feel as anxious as I possibly can right now. And it's like it takes the power over it. Because if you're like, oh, I don't want to feel anxious right now, then it gets worse. Whereas if you're just like, oh, let me just feel this, and just like a wave and it washes over and then it's past. So maybe that sounds dumb to somebody, but it makes sense to me. So that
I like
book,
that example. I really like that example.
oh, good. Thanks. Yeah, so that book helped uh with that, and so I will tell you, um, the spoiler alert in that book, and this is gonna again, this is gonna sound so weird to people. I don't even care. I'm just gonna say it anyway. So again, I'm no psychologist, but in that book, it gives you access to flashcards. Okay,
Okay.
I'm being transparent here because if anybody listens to this, I hope that they can be helped. Okay, I don't even care that I like don't know. Okay, so
It's just you and
there,
I, Chad. Just you and
yeah,
I.
it's just us. Okay, so there's these flashcards, and basically you're like retraining your amygdala, like your fear center of your brain, to associate the stages of flying
Okay.
with like something peaceful.
Oh,
And so you go through this process and it's in the doing of it. It's like, it's kind of like as Christians, we know we should read our Bible and pray, but it's like that we agree with that is not the same thing as actually doing that.
gotcha.
Right. And so there's just some exercises that you do and I mean, it helped me a lot. So anyway, y'all get that book and then,
You said it's Soar, Soar.
yeah, and there's a
Okay.
subtitle I don't remember. I'll put it in the description. And then this doesn't have to do with anxiety in particular, but just those dark moments when you're questioning God and everything. There's a book called God in the Dark by Oz Guinness,
Okay.
and that was a big help. And then kind of we haven't talked about grief. That maybe we can talk about that some other time, but there's a book called Grieving by James White that has really been a help to me. Um, so I know, like I said, we didn't talk about grief, but I feel like it's related. I think C.S. Lewis wrote in A Grief Observed that he never knew that grief feels so much like fear.
Mm.
Um, and
Do you
so
remember?
somehow it's all related.
Do you remember if he gave a context to that statement at all?
Well, I think he was writing that in the context of his wife had been dealing with cancer and she died. And so he's writing the book A Grief Observed kind of after that, if I'm not mistaken.
I see.
Um, so of course, yeah, that's a great book, A Grief Observed by C.S. Lewis.
Okay.
But your thing about a book, I think I don't know. I hesitate. There's no like one simple fix to these things. It's almost like going through the journey is its own like part of the healing is the process of that, if that makes sense.
It does.
Um, I don't know.
And for you, was it helpful to have a support system? I mean, obviously, I know you said there were people you disclosed this information with, but do you feel like if you shared it with, like, I don't want to say a wider circle, but let's just say there was maybe two or three friends that you shared it with, do you think it would have helped you walk through the journey faster?
I can't remember. I can't remember if I shared it with you or a couple other guys. I may have. I don't remember. Um, yeah, I mean, if I wouldn't have had the support system of like my wife and my brother and my mom, like I can't imagine like feeling how I felt and being by myself
Yeah.
without any support system. Like I can't even imagine that would not have been good. So, but it's hard. I mean, you have to invite people in. Like it's not, um,
And people you feel safe with.
yeah, you have to.
Yeah. Because not everybody that is in your circle is safe.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I've been like, I don't say wrestling, but like thinking through due to the fact that now like we have a 10-year-old and then a 4-year old and 8 weeks. Not really concerned about the 8-year old, but more so my 10-year old who's now fifth grade and going to be sixth grade next summer. Thinking through like, and more so praying about the relationships he's going to have. just praying
Yeah.
about relationships that not only will challenge him, but also will be fruitful, positive relationships in his life. Um, for him to make sound decisions, wise decisions, sometimes challenging decisions, but along the lines of safe, being able to have people who, um, I mean, we're going to be in his ear for the rest of his life. That's not going to
Oh,
change.
sure.
But
Yeah.
also pray that people who are around his circle are also safe voices for him to be able to walk through some of those things he's going through. Because I mean, I can say that you and I and other people that we mutually know, I would say they were safe, but I mean, like, not everybody's like that.
Yeah.
So it's like that's where I have that empathy for people, like you were saying, like, man, if they're dealing with anxiety or stress and they don't have that support system, or they may have a family member that that they may think is safe because they've known them for a long time, but they may not be safe because they may not be in a good season themselves. So it
Yeah.
may not be good to share some of those things with you because they may not be a source of encouragement for you, and it might be completely the opposite. So trying to understand like who is safe, it isn't safe is something that I've wanted to continue to foster with our kids.
Man, you know what? That's a great point. That's such a good point because I find it difficult. Um, I mean, difficult's the wrong word, but like trying to make new friends at this point in my life, like I'm happy to meet new people. I love that. Um, but it's like I have not so many people, but I have a few people in my life that I've walked with f for, years.
Hmm.
And it's like that I trust, that have proven themselves to be trustworthy, you know, and it's like sometimes you just don't feel like going through all those first date questions again with somebody, you know?
Yeah. And then
Yeah,
sometimes, I mean, like for me, and this happened recently in the sense of like the last maybe couple of years, but there's people where like you've walked this journey with, whereas like you were kids or you're in college, and because you're in different season of life and sometimes things they've gone through, whereas almost like you've asked the Lord, like, should I continue this relationship or should you shut the door?
yeah.
And there's been people in my life that the Lord just completely shut the door. And
Hmm.
been like, okay, well, sorry, like you guys were friends for 10 years, 15 years, but now like that door is no longer needed for you to continue to foster that relationship. And for me, it's hard because I want to be able to engage with everybody, but I also need to understand like, okay, I've got to also protect myself and protect my family and maybe protect future relationships I may have with other people if I don't allow this to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you pray and you do the best that you can with the information that you have. And I mean, I figure we're supposed to still be friends because you keep texting me back whenever I text you. So.
Trust me, the individual we're talking about, I haven't seen or spoken to in years. So you haven't seen us. Well, I don't know. Maybe you have. I don't know. But it's nobody we you and I mutually know and keep in touch with.
Hey, email, this has been good, man.
Yeah, man. It has.
Let's do it again sooner than later.
For real. Now I need to go check out that Soar book on Amazon.
Yeah, I'll text it to you.
Please.
All right, thanks, man.
Yeah, man. Have a good one.
You too.